has to consider an enemy that he has no way out of his friendship. Because in life you're going to have people, it's like a boss that you can't stand, but you have to act friendly and be, I mean, this is life. You're going to have people, even in your own family, you're going to have somebody who just is really difficult, right? It's the uncle, nobody wants to come over for the holiday, but he comes anyway and everybody is nice. So that's what he's talking about. So now he's going to use that as an analogy for these appetites that we have, these faculties in our own souls. فَيَا نَكِدَ الدُّنْيَا مَتَى أَنْتَ نَازِحٌ عَنِ الْحُرِّ حَتَّى يُقَارِبُهُ ضِدُّ. So he's saying, oh, you know, the trials of this world, when will you depart from this free man so that he can find the opposite, approach what's opposite, which is the, you know, there's a Sudanese scholar who talked about the mar'a nakidiyya, you know. So the mar'a nakidiyya, he said, you know, people shouldn't be so upset about having a spouse. It goes male or female, a spouse that just gives you a hard time all the time. Because he said, actually, there's a lot of benefits to that mar'a nakidiyya. He said, one, you're always doing dhikr. Because you're like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And then he said, and then you're always visiting your relatives. Because he said, I have to go out. You know? So he goes on about that. So, فَوَاحِدٌ أَمَامَهُ هُوَ لَهُ رَقِيبٌ يَحْفَظُهُ وَعَيْنٌ تَكْلَأُهُ لَكِنَّهُ مَلِقٌ مُبَاهِتٌ مُمَوِّهٌ يلفق الباطل تلفيقا ويخترق الزور اختلاقا فيخلط الكذب بالصدق والخطأ بالصواب. And he's a beautiful writer. He's a very, very nice writer. He has a 5-volume work called the Muhadarat of the Udaba, which is really stunning. But he was very, very erudite in Arabic literature. So you'll find his style is, and he uses a lot of unusual words. So he says one of these enemies, he's in front of you. So he's going ahead of you. And he's raqib. He's on guard. He's watching to protect you. وَعَيْنٌ تَكْلَأُهُ. And he's like a spy. Because ayn means eye, but it also means spy. So he's like a spy who's there to takla'uhu, is also to protect, you know, to guard. لَكِنَّهُ مَلِقٌ. So he has tamalluq, is obsequiousness. Mubahitun, he's just, you know, bahata yubahituhu is to like tell lies, but it's lies that, you know, they're hard to believe. Mumawwihun, mumawwah is a gilded, like a, you know, in the Maliki fiqh they have mumawwah. In Khalil he talks about the plates that are gold plated. So mumawwah. So the mumawwih is the one who he just embellishes things. He's not being straight. He's hiding something. And then yulafiqu al-batila talfiqa. So he's fabricating and conjuring up falsehoods. Yakhtariqu az-zura ikhtilaqa. Again, is another way of saying yulafiq. Yakhtariqu. I mean, khalaqa in Arabic means to create. But when it's applied to the human, it means to lie. So ikhtalaqa means to lie. It's because we don't create. We're not creators. That's why creative writing is one of the worst titles for a course ever. Because everything is mimesis. You know, it's all mimesis. We're not creative beings in that way. What we are is skillful and imaginative. So in that way, but creation, to create, is Allah's alone. He's the creator. He's the khaliq. It's an unshared name. So then he says, so he mixes truth with falsehood. He mixes error with sawab, with what's correct. And then the second one, an yaminihi, is on your right side. Batishun za'irun. So batish is like somebody who's like a thug. Za'irun is malicious. So he's like a malicious thug. يحميه من أعاديه. He protects him from his enemies. لكنه كثيرا ما يغويه فيبور عامره. But he can lead him astray and destroy what's يبور عامره. The amir is your, it's what's cultivated. So he can destroy what you've cultivated. ويهيج هائجه. And he can instigate you. فلا يقمعه النصح. He's not controlled by sound advice. ولا يطأطئه الرفق. And he won't bow down to gentleness. كأنه نار في حطب. He's like fire in dry wood. أو سيل في صبب. Or he's like a flash flood coming down from an elevation. Oh, he has qarimun. If you have that edition, it should be qarmun. Yeah, qarimun is somebody who likes meat. There's a hadith in the Muwatta of Imam Malik. There are only 2 hadiths in the Muwatta about meat, and they're both negative. It's very interesting. But one of them, Omar saw this man buying meat every day. And he said to him, أَكُلُّ مَا اشْتَهَيْتَ اشْتَرَيْتَ? Like what, you just get hungry for meat and you go buy it? And he said, إِنِّي رَجُلٌ قَرِيمٌ. Like I'm carnivorous. Like I like meat. You know, like Afghan people, Arab people, they like meat. And so Umar radiallahu anhu said, أَخَافُ أَن تَكُونَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ الله سبحانه وتعالى قال فيهم أذهبتم طيباتكم في حياتكم الدنيا واستمتعتم بها. That you'll be from those who have lost all of your blessings in this world and enjoyed them here, so you don't get them in after. So there's something in the pre-modern world called sumptuary laws, which are very interesting. So Islam has sumptuary laws. A sumptuary law is a law that prohibits things that are going to lead to too much luxury. And many, many societies had sumptuary laws. The Greeks had them because they were worried, especially the Spartans, because they were worried that people would get too lax. The Chinese had sumptuary laws. So Omar, the Prophet ﷺ, clearly in our religion, the prohibition of men wearing gold is a sumptuary law. And that's a clear sumptuary law. But Omar had sumptuary laws. So he prohibited eating meat every day in Medina when he was caliph. He said you could eat it every other day. And in the books of fiqh, they talk about, you know, the right of a woman to the amount of meat. And they literally, based on her socioeconomic status, they had how many days. So like a woman who's accustomed to that, at least once a week. One of the reasons why the meat was done on the Eids was because most people were what we would today call semi-vegetarians, because meat was really expensive. And meat was also wealth, because livestock in all pre-modern societies, livestock is part of wealth, right? It's like having gold or silver. So you don't want to like just dissipate all your wealth by eating all the time. And then also they shorn for the wool. I mean, there were also milk. There's other uses why they wouldn't eat meat, right? So he's saying it's the qarmun muqtalimun is like a stud in heat. And that's what it means. So qarm is like a fahal that yutrak lil-dirab. So it's only used to, like these stud farms where they have stallions that are only used to basically produce fine animals. Oh, sab'un thakilun, or like a predatory animal that's lost its offspring. Like you never want to mess with. If you kill the offspring of a bear in front of that bear, yeah, you better have 2 bullets because an animal that loses its offspring, it's very angry. فَيَحْتَاجُ أَنْ يُسَكِّنَهُ دَائِمًا فَيَحْتَمِي بِهِ وَمِنْهُ. So he has to always be calming it down and to guard himself with it, from it. Both with it and from it. Because the quwwa ghadabiyya, he's using this for the example of the quwwa ghadabiyya, you need it for both. Right? It's going to guard you, but you have to guard yourself against it because it's dangerous. فَهُوَ مَعَهُ كَمَا قِيلَ رَاكِبُ الْأَسَدِ يَهَابُهُ النَّاسِ وَهُوَ فِي نَفْسِهِ أَحْيَبُ. The beautiful saying. So the man who's riding the lion, everybody's in fear of him, But he's the one that's most in fear because he's on the lion and he knows how dangerous it is. So you have this in the Asian tradition, the Taoist tradition, the idea of, leave mountain, embrace tiger, return to mountain. That's about conquering the soul. So the soul is used in some of the Asian traditions as the idea of, this is the nafs that you have to tame, like the lion tamer. You have to tame the lion. So he's saying you can ride it, your soul, but you should, and people will be amazed at it, but you should always be fearful of it because you never know when it's going to rear its head. You just don't know. And you can't trust it. I mean, Abu Bakr said, if I had 1 foot in Jannah and 1 foot outside, I still wouldn't feel safe until both were firmly planted. And, Ibn Mas'ud said, من كان يستن فليستن بالميت فإن الحي لا تؤمن عواقبه. Whoever wants to take a sunnah from dead people. Don't take it from the living because the living are still under examination. Right? The living are still under examination. So it doesn't matter who. I mean, we've had people, notable people, that left Islam, right? People that were teaching and people learned from them, and then they just left Islam. So nobody, as long as somebody's alive, we don't know. We ask for husn al-khatima, and we ask Allah, inshallah, those people, Allah illuminate their hearts and restore them to their sanity, because it's a tragedy when somebody, one of the companions who went to Ethiopia, he was alcoholic and he couldn't control his nafs, and so he ended up becoming a Christian so he could drink alcohol. But that's exactly it. It's more about appetites than anything else. People have unnatural appetites, and that will deviate them and take them away from the truth. So the third عن يساره هو الذي يأتيه بالمطعم والمشرب لكنه أرعن ملق قذر شبق كأنه خنزير أجيع فأرسل في جلة يأتيه أحيانا بأطعمة هنية وأحيانا بأطعمة خبيثة فيكرهه على تناولها فهو يحتاج أن يصابرهم حتى يقطع سفره فيبلغ أرضا مقدسة يشرق فيها النور وتشرب فيها النعجة والذئب من حوض واحد فيأمن فيها بوائقهم. So the third one is on his left. And this is the one who brings the food on the journey. He's bringing the food and the drink. But he himself he's stupid. He's ar'an. Like ru'unat al-nafs are the frivolities of the self. So the ar'an is the one who's engaged in frivolities. Maliqun, again he's obsequious. Qadirun, he's foul. He's cochino. He's dirty. Shabiqun, same thing. And then ka'annahu khinzirun. I mean, this is in rhetoric for those of you who are doing the rhetoric. It's itnab, right? He's doing itnab. So he's the shabaq is the one who's got just heavy appetite. Shabiqun. So ka'annu khinzirun, he's like a pig who's hungry, who was made hungry. Like you're not feeding him, and then he's put into the jalla, the sty, the pig sty. Sometimes they throw good food in the pigsty, and sometimes they throw foul food in it. So he's just compelled to eat what's there. So this one on the journey, it's necessary for him to placate them, to keep them until he finishes his journey and reaches the Holy Land. So this is the journey to the Ard Muqaddasa. Yushriqu fiha an-nur, where the light illuminates, and the sheep and the wolf will drink from the same bowl together. So all of the trials of the world. فَيَأْمَنُ فِيهَا بَوَائِقُهُم. And then he's free finally of the trials. So getting to the other side, knowing that you have these 3 travelers on your journey, and you just have to watch out for them. But this is the soul. That's why I'm calling this a Quranic anthropology, because it really is the study of the human being. He's really giving us an anthropology rooted in the Quran. You can see how he's rooting everything in the Quran. And then he says that he's free من حيلته التي يرجى أن يسلم منها بها أن يسلط هذا البطش الزعر على هذا الأرعن القذر. And so then he's able to put this malicious thug over this stupid, this stupid foul one, حتى يزبره زبرا, so that he's constantly, زبره is like constantly keeping them in check. وأن يطفي غلو هذا الزعر التايح بخلابة هذا الأرعن المموه. And then he's able to put out the extremism of the za'ir, the malicious one, who's astray, right? With the ar'an mumawwah, with his his deceptions. وَأَلَّا يَجْنَحْ إِلَى الْمُبَاهَةِ الْمُتَخَرِّصِ, and that he doesn't incline towards the mubahat al-mutakharris حتى يؤتيه موثقا من الله غليظا ثم يصدقه فيما ينهيه إليه. And he doesn't believe that the lying one, the mutakharris, until it brings something to verify from God, a strong covenant from God, in order to believe him in what he's telling him not to do or to avoid. فَجَعَلَ الْمَلِقَ الْمُبَاهَةِ كِنَايَةً عَنِ الْوَهَمِ. So he says the maliq al-mubahat is a metaphor for waham. So the quwwa al-wahima is one of the, it's the waham is the estimative, right? But it's related to, you have yaqeen, you have shak, and then you have waham. So waham is, it can create things in your mind that you think are true and they're not true. It's very important, this quality that the human mind has, yatawaham. It's important, but it's dangerous. That's what he's saying, because it can make the falsehood look true. It can do things if you're not careful with it. So that's what he's saying. So, and then the batash al-za'ar, the malicious thug, is the irascibility. And then the ar'an al-qadr al-maliq, and the obsequious, stupid, foul one, is the shahwa. فَجَعَلَ الْأَرْضَ الْمُقَدَّسَ عِبَارَ عَنْ دَارَ السَّلَامِ. And the Holy Land is the abode of Islam, of salam, the paradise. وذكر أن حيلته في أن يسلم منهم أن يدفع بعض هذه القوة ببعض دفع الشر بالشر. And so one of the strategies is to use one against the other by way of avoiding harm with other harm. Wallahu a'lam. And Allah knows best. How much time? Okay. So let me see if I can, this one's not too long. So كون الإنسان هو المقصود من العالم وإيجاد ما عداه لأجله. So this is the fact that the human being is intended by the world itself, and everything that was created other than him is for him. So this is a strong anthropic principle, right? He's basically arguing a strong anthropic principle that the whole of the universe is created for our species. And people can say, oh, well, why is all those galaxies, millions of... Well, the same is true if you go in. Like if you go in, you'll have we're actually at the midpoint. This is one of the things that Alexis Carrel, who won the Nobel Prize, one of the things that he pointed out. If you take the largest things in the universe, and you take the smallest things that we know, divide them by 2, you'll get the human being. So it goes both ways. And the thing about the human being, humans, we can travel. in space, in our minds. And we can go inside with our minds. I mean, that's what's unique about us. So, but it's also to show us, أَأَنْتُمْ أَشَدُّ خَلْقٍ أَمِ السَّمَاءِ, are you a greater creation or the heavens? Like it's also to show the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that His power is so vast. And Allah swears, لا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم. I swear by the positions of the stars. And if you but knew, you would know how vast an oath that is. Because it's so vast, all these galaxies. Allah swears by the positions of the stars. If you look at the Big Dipper, you'll see it looks like it's all on the same plane. Those are billions of miles away from one another. So Allah is swearing by the positions of the stars and telling us this is a vast oath, if you but knew. Now we know. سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. We will show them our signs. So this idea that we're not, that human being, this whole modern idea that, we're just this insignificant speck of dust in this little corner of some, relatively small galaxy, that we don't have a lot of significance. This is a complete lie. It's completely alien to reality. And so he's saying, no, don't believe that the human being is what المقصود من العالم إيجاده شيئا بعد شيء هو أن يوجد الإنسان فالغرض من الأركان أن يحصل منها النبات ومن النبات أن تحصل منه الحيوانات ومن الحيوانات أن تحصل الأجسام البشرية ومن الأجسام البشرية أن تحصل منها الأرواح الناطقة ومن الأرواح الناطقة أن تحصل منها خلافة الله تعالى في أرضه فيتوصل بإيفاء حقها إلى النعيم الأبدي كما دل الله تعالى عليه بقوله إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. So he says the whole purpose of this world and its creation bit by bit, little by little, is in order to bring the human being into existence. So the whole purpose of the elements is to produce vegetation. The purpose of vegetation is to produce animals. The purpose of animals is to produce bodies, human bodies. And the purpose of the human body is to be a vehicle for the soul, the rational souls. And for the rational souls to become the vicegerents of God in the earth. And by fulfilling that duty as the vicegerent of Allah in the earth, then you warrant eternal bliss. And this is what Allah indicates when He said, verily, I'm placing in the earth a vicegerent. وَجَعَلَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى الْإِنسَانَ سُلَالَةَ الْعَالَمِ وَزُبْدَتَهُ. Allah has made the human being the sulala. It's coming from. It's the offspring. I mean, a salil is like a scion or an offspring, but sulala is it's the chain that brings you into existence. So you're the offspring of the whole world. Everything has conspired in the world to bring you into existence. And you are the zubda. You are the cream of creation. وَهُوَ الْمَخْصُوص بِالْكَرَامَةِ. And for this reason, you have been ennobled and dignified. لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ مِنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. We have ennobled the children of Adam. And we have carried them on the land and in the sea. And we provided from all the good things. And we have preferred them over so much of the creation, a clear preference. وَجَعْلَ مَا سِوَاهُ كَالْمَعُونَةِ لَهُ. And He made everything in support of the human being. Everything is in support of the human being. The earth is turning, creating the Van Allen belts. The Van Allen belts are protecting us from the radiation. The radiation comes just to the right degree to produce enough vitamin D in us to keep us healthy. All these things, everything is here. And then He put everything on the earth for you. He subjugated the heavens and the earth to you. He put it all there for you. He gave us glue. He gave us cloth. He gave us leather. He gave us milk. He gave us all these different fruits. Allah has given us all these different things, and it's all provision for us. I mean, if you want to read a really interesting It's really a thought experiment almost, but it's called iPencil. And this man wrote it just to show you how miraculous just a pencil to come into existence is. That, we say only God could create a tree, only God could make a pencil. And that's why Allah says, Inna Allah khaliqu kulli sani'in wa san'atihi. Imam al-Bayhaqi says, Allah is the creator of every craftsman and the thing that he's making. So if you look just at a pencil, what did it take to make one pencil? Right? You have wood, you need wood. So there's people right now that grow wood for paper and things like that. But do you think that guy who's planting those trees is thinking about a pencil? He's not thinking about a pencil. And then those people need all these people to be supplying them with their needs, right? So they need all their equipment, and then they need also the food that comes to them so that they can work, right? So that's all that going on. And then where does the graphite come from? There's 3 major places. 70% of graphite comes from Turkey, China, and one other country. Can't remember. So then the graphite, and then it's a compound. It's not just graphite. So do you think those people that are harvesting the graphite, like they're thinking about making a pencil? They're just thinking about making some money selling graphite to whoever wants to buy graphite, because graphite has a lot of uses. And then the trucks that have to carry those logs. Who made those trucks to carry those logs? So there's all these people that are doing all these things. So were they thinking about a pencil when they made those trucks to specifically carry a log to the factory? And then the factory, they shave the thing. And then the pencil company that buys the wood to make the pencils, and then they put them in there. And then all those people that created all those machines to do that work. And on and on and on. You could just go on and on and on. So nobody planned to make a pencil. Somebody wanted to make a pencil, but he could not in any way, shape, or form have directed all those different people on this planet to enable him to make a pencil. And that's just a pencil, which is a miracle in and of itself to come into existence. That's what Adam Smith called the invisible hand. And Adam Smith was talking about God. He wasn't talking, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, they said, Sa'iruna, Sa'iruna, like, fix the prices for us. He said, Inna Allahu al-Musa'ir. Allah fixes prices. Allah fixes prices. The market is God's. All these things that are happening on this planet, all the things we're wearing, do you think they were thinking about you in the clothes you're wearing? That they were thinking about so-and-so in California is going to purchase this? That person sewing that thing there? They're doing that for you. But who? Allah did it. And we're all helping one another. This is ta'awun. Like human beings are helping one another without even knowing it. That's one of the Mutanabbi says that. The Arab and the Bedou are helping one another without even realizing it. So all these things that come into the world, where did they come from? Who thought of them? You couldn't have put them all together. No one person could have thought of that. And that's why no one person could create a pencil. There's not one person that could do that. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that could do that. Allama bil qalam. He swore by the pen. Wal qalami wa ma yastarun. By the pen and what it produces. So this is life on earth. It's amazing. It's all wonder. That's what G.K. Chesterton said, that we're not perishing we're perishing for want of wonder, not for want of wonders. Because people don't marvel at all this stuff around them that's happening. It's all miraculous. I mean, COVID came and shut down the whole planet and everything just went. Like, how did it all keep going? Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayy said it's a proof God's running the world. Because everything got shut down and yet none of us starved to death. And if we do, we deserve it.